reports are the Knicks have interest in him, but will there be kind of an abundance of interest, right? Cheap shooter that can come in that is worth more, but you'd be able to get him on a vet minimum. No one's touching him while he's, being investigated, but now that he's clear, now would teams be willing to do that? Or is it kind of one of those things that taboo where it's just like, do we really want to take the risk? You look at the last Lakers stint, right, with Malik Beasley, it wasn't great, to put it nicely, right? He didn't, like, for a guy that was like third, I think, in three-pointers made at that time, behind, I think it was Steph Curry and Buddy Hield that year, off the top of my head, if I'm not mistaken, to then come to the Lakers and essentially just like forget how to shoot. And the Lakers tried, they gave him chances, they gave him opportunities, and he just completely disappeared. And then, you fast forward to what happened recently, and a lot of Laker fans were like, it makes sense. Now, obviously, again, he's free and clear, right? So obviously they weren't able to link anything to him, but, benefit of the doubt, nothing happened. There was no shadiness going on, right? Now he's free and clear. But again, the perception is one thing, right? It's one thing to be clear and like, hey, you know what? He's good. He's clean. It's another thing to have teams actually look at him and go, there's always that question now, right? If he starts having those bad stretches, you're going to have fans, you're going to have organizations, you're going to have people like, is something going on now? Or like, it's that stigma that's going to hang over him. But if he's good and gives you production, then, if you're the organization that signs him, then who cares, right? If he has a season like he did last year, who cares? Bring him on board. But again, you look at the last stint with the Lakers. The lights are bright for a lot of players. Right? Talk about the Lakers and the spotlight that yields and brings. See, a lot of guys that just aren't the same coming to a team like the Lakers as they are other places, because there's not the expectations, there's not the pressure, the fans aren't as, ravaged of like, this guy, like, it's very different. So couple questions, right? And I'll get into the Lakers stats and then we'll dive into this more. But one, would you be willing to bring in Malik Beasley on a vet minimum deal? Lakers could use some shooting. If the Lakers were to trade Dalton Connect, replacing him with Malik Beasley would make a ton of sense, right? A guy that could give you shooting, give you volume, slot alongside LeBron, slot alongside Luka. The quality of looks that he would get are going to be fantastic. I mean, he was getting those looks. He just couldn't knock them down. He can be a little bit of a roller coaster guy, right? Like he'll have these like stretches where he's just lights out, and then he'll have these stretches where he misses, and kind of felt that way when last stint with the Lakers, where we just kind of caught him on the back end, on a bad end. Is that what it was? Or, was he just the lights too bright for him? Like, what would he have looked like? The other thing you got to keep in mind too is that previous stint, we needed him, and we needed him desperately. We needed him to be a top, 5-6 guy for the Lakers. We were looking for him to kind of, solve a lot of that shooting woes and a lot of just like the quite like him and D'Angelo Russell were supposed to be the two guys that were just lights out along LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Jared Vanderbilt. And we got, the shooting and the defense and oh my gosh, right? Now we're the best team in the league ready to go win an NBA championship. And it just didn't work out and pan out that way. This go around, this stint though, we wouldn't be looking for him to be a top 5, 6, even 7 guy. You'd just be looking for him to come in, basically be a 7th, 8th, 9th guy that is coming in just kind of being an assignment, specialty shooter. And if he does have a great season, right, let's say he does give you like 16 off the bench, that is huge for the Lakers. I mean, he could solve a lot of Lakers shooting woes and maybe even scoring and kind of the 6th man off the bench. Could also open up potential for the Lakers to make other moves and decisions. But getting into the Lakers this stint, right? Because remember, he was traded to the Lakers from Utah. He played 26 games, started in 14 of them, averaged 24 minutes per game. 10.3 field goal attempts. He shot 39.2% from the floor. From three-point range on 7.2 attempts. Talk about volume. 7.2 attempts. He shot 35.3%, which, I mean, it's not terrible, like that's not like awful, but for a guy like Malik Beasley, who for his career is like 40%, he's 39.1%, right? And you look at his stint with Utah, he was shooting 36% on 8.6 attempts. So he did it wasn't like he had this like huge drop off, right? So again, if I'm going to be fair to Malik Beasley, and I'm really going to dive into this, His numbers in Utah were not very different from his numbers with the Lakers. It just, he was on like a scorcher at the time when the Lakers ended up trading for him, and people thought like, oh, it would translate into that. And then you hear like, oh, he's, third in 3-pointers made and all this stuff. Came to Lakers and he was like slightly worse. But it wasn't like he was, 43% in Utah, came to the Lakers and then was like, 35%. No, he was 35.9% in Utah. And then with the Lakers, 35.3%. So he's 0.6% worse than he was with Utah. So it wasn't this like huge significant drop off. It wasn't one of these things where it's like, oh man, like this dude was like, so that's something to keep in mind, to be fair, in his defense. I mean, obviously that's not good, right? And you want him, and you look at since he left the Lakers, right? Milwaukee, from 3-point range, he shot 41.3%. Detroit, he shot 41.6%. Right back up. With Milwaukee, it was on 6.9 attempts. Last year with Detroit, on 9.3 attempts. And we'll get into his shooting, but almost all of his attempts were from 3-point range, and shot one of his better 3-point percent. I mean, you get a season like that from him where he's shooting almost 42% on 9 attempts. That would be huge for the Lakers, huge. But during that Lakers stint, I want to talk about the last Lakers stint. Right, 2-point range on 3.1 attempts, he shot 48.1%. With Utah on 3.6 attempts, shot 48.5%. So again, it's not like he was like 53% and then dropped to, no, he was basically the same player he was with the Lakers, he was with Utah. So was it just a bad year? I mean, it was one of his worst years. Was it just that? Right? It was just kind of a bad year for him, and the Lakers just kind of got him at that point where it was just a bad year for him? Or is it something where he really just, is just not, the lights are too bright for the Lakers? 2 years after that, he shot over 41% from 3-point range. Can he get back to that? Because if he can, then that'd be huge for a team like the Lakers. But EFG with the Lakers was 51.5%, and Utah was 52.2%. So again, very similar. Free throw shooting with Utah was 84.1% on 0.8 attempts. With the Lakers, that was a huge drop off on 0.8 attempts. So same number of attempts, 62%. So he had a huge drop off shooting or free throw shooting wise. Rebounds in Utah, 3.6. With the Lakers, 3.3. So again, identical. Assists even 1.7 compared to 1.2, identical. Steals 0.8, exact same thing. Blocks 0.1, exactly the same. Utah, he averaged 13.4 points. With the Lakers, he averaged 11.1 points, and a lot of that comes from free throw shooting, things like that. So again, nearly identical between the Lakers and the Utah Jazz. Right? And I want to make that and really hit that point, because again, like if you're going to bring him back, then that's something that I would, or if you were to bring him back, something you want to kind of keep in mind. Like was it just a bad year, or is it something that we need to worry about?